Happy Friday, everybody. Today is Friday, May 23rd, 2025. This is the Recoup Weekly Check-In. I'm Sweets, this is Sid, and today we're going to be doing our weekly check-in like we usually do, wrapping up this week, talking about what we shipped and what we're going to be shipping. We'll start off the call how we always do. In one word, Sid, how are you feeling today? And in one sentence, what do you need today?
I'm feeling focused. Mad focused. And then what do I need today? One sentence, what do I need? I just want to keep up the excitement. I feel like Sweets, you've been mad excited over the last 2 days, sending me a bunch of ideas about where we should ship. And so I want to keep that momentum because I like it.
Okay.
How you feeling?
Feeling a little lost. I need fundamental questions to be pondering instead of higher level surface questions that I think I've been focusing on, which have allowed me to get lost. To get started, I'd go
fundamental versus higher level.
Yeah, like root level questions. For like normally before I go to bed, I write down a want and an MIQ, and I'll start those by project names, Coop Rex and Recoup, and then I use those to determine my wants and my MIQ. And I'm feeling like I'm starting it at the project level instead of going deeper on like, what do I want? Like, let's not start with the project level. Let's go deeper than that. What is it that I am trying to do outside of these projects? And so I'm starting off at a surface level of these are the projects and these are what they need, but I built out what the projects have defined. And so it's likely a good time for me to shift back into deeper level questions, not focused because the teams that I'm on don't have long definitions right now.
Gotcha.
And that could be contributing to me feeling a little bit lost. It's not clearly defined.
I like it. All right, understood.
Two things I would like to ask is, what did Sid learn from Rostrum, and how are Q2 goals for increasing retention of chatters measuring week over week? Starting, I think the most important one to orient the conversation, what have you learned this week as a result of Rostrum? Maybe to start it, how long have you been, do you remember the date when you first initiated contract with Rostrum and how long the cycle's been for you?
I'd say it's about a month, give or take.
So it was end of April?
Yeah, it was. The question was, what did we learn?
Yeah, what did you learn from Rostrum? What have you learned?
I learned that there let me think.
There is a bunch of reasoning tokens with this prompt.
Yeah, for real. That was funny. That was really funny. I learned that we're onto something because the excitement and back and forth from Benji was apparent. I don't want to come to conclusions because it's only been a week since we had the call of what's the next steps. And the majority of the time, it was just founder to founder talking about what a next gen record label looks like powered by AI. So like that conversation, of course, is going to be like really exciting and thinking big, etc. And then so when it was the last week when we started to add stakeholders and really start to think through what the infrastructure looks like. And so even though it's been a week, I mean, even though it's been a month, it's really only been like a week for them to really sit down and think about what it looks like and the infrastructure looks like internally for them. So I don't want to come to any conclusions about what the next steps are, and I want to give it some time to marinate to see like what they come back with. But what I did, I guess, something else that I learned is that the need is there for our product if we have the right feature to demo. But when the feature needs to be like when it becomes more about a customizable agent, it's harder to lock in really quickly. We would have had that if we would have had the demo done and built, I feel like it would have been a much easier process. So yeah, the customization portion of it is just like where things get stagnant, and then you got to think about stakeholders and how they're going to react, and ego, and what they've already built, et cetera, you know. But it was I do feel confident in the direction that we're building. So that was good.
How could we have increased our likelihood of closing that sale?
My immediate thought was de-risk it. And then my other thought was, making it, just de-risking it and having it available immediately would have gotten it done. When I say de-risk, I mean less money and faster. I think those two things would have made it more of a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. How could we have better prepared on the technology side?
Without trying to get to the actual. Actually, okay, no, let's just high level this. If we had the ability to one-shot prompt the agent into existence on the demo, it would have sold on the demo. So I think what you're talking about with code interpreter and running code and things like that is a good first step in that. Because if I would have been able to be like, hey, do this for me now, And even if it didn't get it right the first time, but like it got us 50% there, 80% there, it would have been a much more powerful, holy shit, they already have this shit built the fuck out like that.
So for now, next step for Rostrum, let it breathe. You've learned feature to demo sells, custom requests in high ticket slows down the process. De-risk it by asking for less money and offering faster implementation. And the technology could have been better if we have the ability to one-shot prompt whatever it is they're asking for during the demo.
Correct. Maybe 2-shot prompt, 3-shot, like, you know, but like in demo.
Yeah.
Say, oh, you see this? Okay, cool. Brr. So yeah.
First LinkedIn comment just showed up. I've never had someone comment on LinkedIn. So Muhammad,
What?
you win the LinkedIn live stream for today.
Let's go.
Anything else you want to talk about on Rostrum?
No, I think we're good.
Q2 goals. Q2 goal, increase the retention of chatters, number of first-time chats, and number of new chats from existing humans. First question is that, are there any changes we need to make on our Q2 goal to accurately represent the vision of where you're trying to get at the end of June?
No, I think we can keep it. We may need to redefine the word chat to users, especially if we're gonna lean into what you were talking about with well, I guess it's still chatters because they're still chat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then, yeah, no, we shouldn't change it. Keep it the same. Do you want me to share where we're at right now?
Yep. This week you built a tool, right?
Correct.
Want to tell everybody what you built, how you thought about it, what was your impetus for bringing this to life and spending your energy on it?
Yeah. I just was manually doing this every week, and I wasn't doing it consistently enough. So decided to build it out so I could see it up front. Although I just realized we're sharing everybody's emails, but whatever. That's open source. So yeah, it just really quickly from the top level allows us to see conversations today. This is today, this week, this month, and then conversations and segments reports, conversations, segment reports. So today there's and this also doesn't include test emails, me, you, Verbal, Ziad. Mm-hmm. So we can see how many conversations were had today, which is great, actually. You can see how many conversations we've had since Sunday. So conversations are up 63% since last week. That is a good sign. Segment reports are going down since Sunday. And this month we're at 68 conversations, which is up 51% since last month. So we're on track to increase conversations this month. We keep up the momentum. And then we have our little leaderboard. Steph has gone up. She was down here. She is now number 2.
In the top 3.
Yeah, which is great. You can see she's creating rooms. It's really interesting where it says messages sent is 5, but rooms created is 13. So I think now that I'm looking at this, that rooms created might also include segment reports, because every time you generate a segment report, it also creates a room. So these might not be separated. Like it might be 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It might be 4 non-segment rooms and 9 segment reports from her. And then messages is 5, which is interesting. Okay, but anyways, that's great. Paloma's still up top with 35 messages.
Paloma's unmatched. Paloma uses us. We don't. She's just used. She's top tier using.
She is top, and I wonder.
She also talks about us publicly. She like goes out on Warpcast and she's like, I love Recoup. She gets value out of it. She is liking the product.
Amazing. Cool. So like this is really good. Like Carolyn, Judson, and Steph are all using it. Carolyn sent more
Yeah,
messages.
Carolyn's getting closer to, she's the closest to Paloma that I'm seeing in terms of number of messages being sent and number of rooms created.
Great. So like, yeah, we're moving up. We're moving on up, and this is really good to see. It's really interesting to see that Steph is still using segment reports.
It's her feature. She likes it. She starts with segments. Unlike most of the other chatters that start with creating an artist, like Caroline starts with creating an artist. Steph, you've already loaded everybody in, and she's creating segments off of, if she's not updating it, stale data.
Yeah. So all right, so this is good to know. And then Keys is still tried and true at the top,
showing up consistently.
Showing us, I think we got to go back to him. He's also paying, so we got to go back to him and
see how we can make it better.
Yeah, exactly.
Agreed. If he's paying and he's using it, absolutely top tier. How can we focus on him? Is he winning? How is he judging whether or not he's winning with us? How can we do better to help him win, so that way we can continue to promote him as a case study?
Correct. And I think like if we do have I can set up another call with him. The last call, like we usually like have calls and they go through like talk about his process, and he's like very like, it's cool, man. You know, like, you know, and just kind of surface levels the like, like, you know, everything. Although last time we talked about was more like he's focused on paid ads, etc. So like I would be curious to know like what like the actual workflows that he's doing that he would want automated. So maybe we jump on another call with him, but like we get some actual clearer questions to get to the bottom of it, what the workflows are. But I love the question that we've been asking everybody, which is like, what's the workflow that you do daily or weekly that takes you the most time you would want to replace? It's a great question.
Empowering humans to spend time on the things they enjoy.
I love it. All right, cool. So that is this week's conversations is up 63% this week.
For the month, it's up 51.
We're on track.
Yeah, we're up on both. What we don't have is a, well, what else could be changed in our current tracking to better measure our progress towards this Q2 goal of increase the retention of chatters, number of first-time chats, and number of new chats from existing humans? Or are you happy with the tracking to be able to assess performance?
I'm happy with the tracking as is. I mean, there's, of course, we could always make it better. Something that like I've been thinking through is like, how can we use an LLM to like analyze somebody's messages so I can understand how Paloma's getting value versus Steph's getting value? Like we can kind of surface level see it like from segments, but like we can easily run that through an agent, and so that it can tell us like, oh, Steph gets value this way. She's using it more like this with these kinds of questions, etc. It's like a smarter insights agent into like our current customers. But I think I don't think this needs to be immediate. I think having this now just to track if we're going up or down, are we going in the right direction, is a good place to be right now.
Relative to the previous month, the previous week.
Exactly. And if things start to show red week over week, then we can start to think about, all right, cool. What are we doing wrong here? What are we not tracking?
Do you think the data that we have highlights why the numbers are going and why the numbers are trending in the direction they are?
No. It's a great.
Qualitatively, on your side, do you have any guesses or hunches as to why the number is going up?
My guess is for Caroline is new artists created was the focus, and now it's working, so it's easier to create new artists, so she's doing it. My guess with Steph is that we had that call with her, and so she was pulled back into the product. And with keys, he hit me up and said, like, he used it last week and said he just got back up from going on tour with his group. So so he's back into like his work mode. So now he's getting back into using stuff. Although he also is one that doesn't generate as much messages as he does segments.
So he also starts with segments.
Yeah.
Interesting. And that's something we don't really have in our new creating of artists. When we create artists, we're not creating segments. And so if you don't know, you don't get segments, and that tab's going to stay empty.
That's a great insight. Maybe that's something we should think through. It's just like you had mentioned before, like, you don't know, like the segments take long to generate. We don't know we're only really generating segments from Instagram, or we really like finished the Instagram segment with like, and then moved on. Like,
right.
So if we wanted to go back to segments and add that, I mean, it's clear people are getting value from segments. So it might be something to think through. Is how to make it better.
Yeah, I'd want to build it more I want to build it in the current architecture of using it in the chat instead of having to go over to an agent, and thinking through how it can be more modular, because right now it is very monolithic. We try to pull every single fan to group them into buckets, and with how we're moving towards of more modular tools, think through how do we generate segment buckets and how do we put people into those buckets. Those are the two important points of tools that could be built if segments are important and they're missing. But for now, nobody's asking for it. The people who use it have not reported any bugs about it. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it is my mental model on where segments are at.
It is broken for anybody who doesn't use it. That doesn't make any sense. Let me rephrase. It is broken. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's very hard and inaccessible for people who I haven't done it for manually.
Right.
So any new artist, like, you're right, any new artist that Carolyn does is not going to get segments unless I go into those accounts and like manually go do it.
Correct.
But you're right. Also, I think maybe we wait and see if that's something that, because she does have segments for some of her artists, because I set up a couple of her artists. So maybe her workflow doesn't require segments.
Anything else you want to touch on Q2 goals?
Nope, we're good.
The only other thing on my side that I'd like to cover are weekly goals. What are the top priority tech items for tech team to focus on in the next 7 days? Ideally focusing on one single feature that we can do correctly. That way we hyper focus on that one thing and give me space to fill in excess time with other random things that come up. Focusing on our Q2 goal.
So we have a couple things. One is from the Steph meeting, her request for YouTube.
Yep.
These aren't in order. I'm just going to throw them out there.
Yeah, throw them out.
The other thing is everything you've just been sending me about the
Wave Zero.
Yeah. That. There is the stuff that I had on a ticket for Verbal, which is just helping people use chat more by giving them more of like prompt suggestions or putting prompts in the agents tab so they can just click, like, so that it's less open-ended and more like, here's a prompt chain that you can click and use. Because I've been doing that manually, is like sending those emails out saying like, try this prompt, and so having that available to them. So that's like another one. And then the last thing is something that I've been thinking through, which is a fan engagement or a fan growth agent, which is something that a couple people from Instagram have asked for, but we never actually built it out. And I just checked on my Twitter, which does have an agent running autonomously. And it posted a meme on a account, like on a high visible account. You know, like you can post like comments on like under Elon Musk tweets. The agent autonomously did it, and like I got like 75K views on the comment. And so I was like, holy shit, like that was like a green flag of like, if an autonomous agent can just get me views on Twitter like that, that's like there's a huge value prop there. So there was something there, like the autonomous fan growth agents that I've been thinking through. But I don't know if that's this week or next week or whatever. But those are the main ones. So of those, what do you think is the most important? Or not most, yeah. What do you think is most important?
I heard YouTube, Wave Zero, prompt chains, and clients.
Yeah.
If our goal is to specifically focus on increasing the retention of Steph and 1 RPM, YouTube. If our goal is to focus more generally on increasing retention of chatters, I think clients, with a starting focus of an email client. That way we can automate emails going out for these prompt suggestions that you're manually doing, reactivating of customers, as well as a new interface for people to be able to send messages to Recoup, replying to an email. I'm going to coffee shops and I see everybody's got their Gmail open. People just sit all day, 9 to 5 with their Gmail open. And if we were sending messages from an AI, it gives them a way to escape from whatever work they don't want to do. They're engaging with our platform. We're right there.
That's exciting.
But there's also Instagram client for fan accounts, Twitter client for sending out messages, Farcaster client, which I've been doing on my own. So there's a lot of clients, and I think that is a good distribution mechanism. So that way, how that impacts the Q2 goal is making clients such that Recoup is available wherever people are already spending their time. It lowers the friction for an existing chatter to start up a new conversation, which increases the likelihood that existing chatters increase their retention. YouTube is strictly a Steph. That's a provider. We're not talking about posting onto YouTube. We're talking about getting data from YouTube. It's a feature for her. I agree it's important. She is seeing monetization data there. We're focused on helping musicians get paid. She is convicted. She has conviction that YouTube is a viable place for musicians to earn money, and we so far have not built too much data on there. I think those focusing on our Q2 goal of increasing the retention of chatters, I think those two will have the highest value short-term impact on that. Out of those two, do you have any further thoughts on which one is going to get us closer towards achieving our goal of increasing retention of chatters between new clients that can send out messages and be a new interface for Recoup wherever people are spending their time, versus YouTube, specifically an integration for Steph, a provider that pulls in information as a new data source for allowing Recoup to be smarter in its responses?
I have a question before I answer. In an ideal world, would the workflow be working on tickets based on like what Steph said, like features that are specific, or would the workflow be more like we have an engineer on clients, just constantly shipping new clients, an engineer on providers, constantly adding new providers, an engineer on prompts, like constantly adding, like, or is it based more on feature, only add the things that we need to add when we need to add them?
I think they're both there, and the question is how much are we focusing on a single task versus spreading ourselves amongst a bunch of non-connected tasks. I think the more we focus on a single task and expand the details, the more it looks like that latter option that you said of a dev is focused on one specific thing and they have sufficient work to only focus on that thing, versus defining a whole bunch of non-related tasks where it feels like the devs are jumping around.
Got it. So my first thought then, based on just programming off tasks, is like Steph's up on the leaderboard, and we had a call with her, and she told us exactly what we want. So I'm leaning towards that. Customer asks for something, we deliver it. Yeah, because what's the other one? The email one, nobody asked for except for me, but I can still do that manually. It's a really cool idea, and I agree with you. I think we need to go down that path, but if we're going to focus on one thing, I would focus on the customer.
YouTube, and if we're focusing on one single thing within YouTube to start, it's monetization.
Yeah, because she said
that doc.
Nothing matters unless it's monetized.
Where did I send that?
Hey, Paloma's here. What up?
In the comments?
Yeah.
Hey, Paloma. Thank you for dropping in from X. We were talking about you earlier. Don't know if you were here, but we very much appreciate you're number one. You're like the top person that uses the Recoup product. So any way that we can be helping you grow as an artist, any way that the Recoup platform is not currently meeting your needs, or any tools that you want, please let us know, because we very much value the attention that you're putting into the product, and anything that we can do to work with you so that this product is serving you better, please let us know. Paloma seems like she's actively tuned in, gave a couple other replies, happy to be here. Oh, and check it out later. So no pressure. My main intention with shouting you out is just to say thank you for being here. And just letting you know that if you ever need anything, please let us know, because you're like someone that constantly comes up in our conversations for how we're building out this product, because you're using it actively. So YouTube, we were talking about monetization. I wanted to get wherever that message was from Steph. I found a piece in the doc and I wanted to write down explicitly what the estimated revenue. Here, let me share what I have and we can look at those docs for a few seconds. Oh, well, there we go. We are posting that comment and we'll leave that one up for a little bit. Thank you, Paloma. I love Recoup and I use it every day. That's a great little testimonial to just leave there.
Let's fucking go.
Uh-oh. I think it is lagging on my controls a little bit. There we go. Okay. Share entire screen. All right, so this seems like what I want to be pulling from the initial data. My goal is, we have defined YouTube from Steph as what we want to focus on. I would like to get as specific as possible. What is the one thing such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? The more detailed we can define this, the higher likelihood is that we achieve the specific thing that we wanted. I am thinking estimated revenue is what we want to focus on, pulling in that specific data point.
Yep.
Unless do you agree, or is there a different, do we want to keep looking?
I agree.
Estimated revenue. Are there any other points you want to pull from these docs as things we want to make sure that we include in order to allow Steph to start spending more time on Recoup and start to decrease the time she spends on the YouTube studio official dashboard?
She specifically said that if there was a way that she can send a report to her artists showing them the or I guess her artists and her teams, showing them the estimated revenue, that would be valuable.
So get the estimated revenue and then be able to send it via email?
Yep. I guess that kills two birds, right? With email client.
I was thinking the same thing.
Boom.
So if we can focus on estimated revenue and sending info via email, those will be good. I am leaning towards attempting to give this task to Veerball.
Ooh.
That way we're not giving him random stuff that is not overlapping with the actual top priorities of the team. And it frees me up to continue to get features out so we can iterate on some of these bigger shifts in a more meaningful way.
I like it. Did you see the other ticket that I had that I gave? I didn't give him the ticket, but I sent the ticket and waiting to get approval.
No, where is it?
Check out linear and go to linear. Where's mine? Oh, you have the weird view. Look up. Not prompt suggestions. Where's the ticket? Did he take it?
What was it?
Agents tab redesign. Here, let me send it to you. I have it right here. There it is. Okay, so I wrote out this ticket because right now our current agents tab is mid. And so I was thinking of how do we make it so that the agents tab also acts as like a prompt injection starter library, as well as an agent starter library. So removing all of the mid ones, mid agents, and redesigning it so it's much easier. It doesn't require like any new design or, you know, right now everything's kind of hard coded and it requires a lot of effort to add an agent to the agents tab, where redesigning it so it's much easier to add new agents and or prompt starters to almost like a directory or library looking thing. So that, for example, it's really easy when Steph wants to get an artist's get an artist's estimated revenue on YouTube and send an email to her team or herself from it, whatever. Like we just have a card on the agents tab that says like, get artist revenue, send it to team. And you click the card and it opens up a chat with that prompt that runs that tool chain. So like she doesn't actually have to type it every single time. So yeah, this was something that I think is important. And I don't know if it's something for Ball or that I can work on, like, but I think it's something that's going to add to getting people to use the product more. Thoughts?
Recipe prompts.
Yeah.
Recipes. I would prioritize this after YouTube. have
Okay,
us
cool.
build the feature. You've just defined what you want that recipe card to be, get monetization data, and send email. And so Veerball builds the YouTube integration. That's going to require OAuth. That's going to require making API calls. It's going to require storing stuff in Supabase, potentially Supabase migrations. And then once we have the YouTube integration in, update the recipes tab so that
that agent is added to. If you scroll down, I have like an example.
there's a lot. This is
It's a lot, but like I can simplify it. It's just here, scroll up. Those are all like just like design ideas. Right here, yeah, this is the example. Scroll up, like you can see the if you scroll up it, you can see the UI that's like just very basic like that. And it's either just like our agents that we can click and run, or if you click it, it's a prompt injection and opens up a chat. I guess all of it should open up a chat, but
all of it should open up a chat. Yeah. Okay, so you've got a design. I would add a plus button on here and make it so that anybody can click plus and add recipes whenever they want. And we rank them maybe based off of number of clicks. How many times has a prompt been used determines the sorting order.
Love it so much. Can you add that? Or do you want me to add that to the ticket?
I would. This is already super long. I don't know that I want to add any details into here. If I was going to write what I just said, I would break this massive thing down into very small cards that are each one sentence and can be explained to a 5-year-old. What you want is you're trying to make it one click for people to use valuable prompts.
Prompts or agents, correct?
I don't know what is an agent in your mind, because in my mind everything is a prompt right now.
Yeah, just like I agree. Yes, so the valuable prompts. Agents are prompts that loop or autonomously run even when you're not on the chat. For example,
seems like for cells defining it as an agent is more than one step. If max step is 1, it is a chat. If max step is more than 1, it becomes an agent. So
yeah, perfect. So yes, then
chaining multiple tool calls.
Yeah, so then yes, these are agents in that sense where they are multiple tool call prompts.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I like it. I agree with you then. So then let's try it. Fuck it. Let's give Verbal YouTube. Let's see how he does. It'll give you time to see how he works with Supabase, how he thinks through more than just kind of UI stuff like that. And it'll focus you to, or it'll allow you to focus more on the other stuff that you're interested in, which I think is super valuable as well, which is like the wave 0 stuff.
We didn't prioritize wave 0 in what we just said. We prioritized YouTube and clients. So I'm thinking I focus on email client for this week. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
What that would look like is if someone sends an email to whatever our inbound email is, it triggers the same chat API as if you visit our UI. It generates a response, and then it sends that response via email. So inbound email reply.
I like it.
I'll also handle that send info via email. So I'll make a new tool that will send an outbound email if you say send this info to my email, or a small tool that can be chained with many other tools to send the email. That way Veerball can use that and he can focus on YouTube and the tool will be there for him. So if someone sends us an email, we get that, we process it with an LLM, we send out the response, including our tool calls in a response. In the chat or in any of our interfaces, if you tell it to send an email, we need where you want to send the email to in the contents. As long as we have both of those things, we send the email. Are there any other, maybe that's a simple enough design for now and we keep it simple. Are there any other root requirements that we need in order for this to meet minimum viable functionality for this to be a useful client in the Recoup stack?
No, I think that's a good starter.
Can you restate back to me what the requirements are for the first prototype?
Of the email,
Yeah.
the user sends an email to the Recoup email address, a query to the Recoup email address, and it sends back the results from the LLM of the query to the user's email address.
So I'll focus on email client. I'll get that. I'm thinking of using, so we need a service that is able to, when an email comes in, triggers a function. And I was talking to Recoup about it, and I think the lowest cost option is going to be Amazon SES or SNS, Simple Notification Service. There are others like SendGrid from Twilio, and there's a couple other services, but it seems like the pricing on SNS is going to be the lowest through AWS.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
I don't think we have a Recoup AWS account right now that has billing attached. So
We do
me
not.
talking all this out is, it would be great if you could get an AWS account and either give me access or send me the keys or whatever. That way, coming into next week, I can just start building, and we don't need to get blocked on this building it out next week.
Got it.
YouTube plus recipes for Veerball, email client plus Wave 0 for me.
I like it.
My priority is email client. Focus on that first. That's the focus. Veerball's focus is on YouTube. We only extend into Wave 0 if email client is finished, and Veerball only extends into recipes if YouTube's finished.
Deal.
Whoa, we got more comments in here. People are showing up today.
Yeah.
Someone on all the platforms too. We got a LinkedIn, we got X. Someone from YouTube just showed up. Leo Pastel made his first appearance. Thank you for coming, Leo. I don't know if you've
Leo,
seen, but I use you when I'm building. When I'm building on Recoup, I'm constantly adding in Leo because you have like good presence across all socials and streaming platforms. So it's nice to see you here.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen you set up an account, but
where's Leo at, man? He should be on the leaderboard. Like, come on, man. Get a recoupable account, man.
I told Excellencia on our call today about the fact that we're talking and trying to orient around his success, and he told me, I've been seeing Recoup all the time. I keep telling myself I'm going to use it, and then I don't. And so the friction still seems to be too high for some people who see the work that we're doing. But then the cost of, I have to leave whatever I'm doing, go onto a web page, sign in, and start a conversation is too much. So thinking through how to make it a lower lift. And I think clients are going to be a good thing on that. Like if you're seeing this on Twitter, if people knew they could just reply below, hey, at Recoup, X, Y, and Z, and that triggers our backend LLM, and people can just use Recoup directly from comments on Twitter or on Instagram or in email clients. Making the agent the interface still feels like where the puck is heading for building applications.
1000%.
And I'm excited to now have that opportunity with the email client that I'll be building out this week so that people can send an email. Speaking of that, do you have a preferred email that is the assistant? Do you have a preferred name or email that's showing up when Recoup is having conversations in people's Gmail, Outlook, Superhuman, or whatever those email clients are?
Should we attach it to the at recoupable.com?
I agree, absolutely. But what before at recoupable.com? Do we give it a name? Just make it hi? Did you say hi?
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's do hi to start.
Recoupable.com. And then do you want it to have a name?
No, let's just keep it
Recoup? Capital R Recoup?
Yeah.
Copy. So that'll be the name, and subject, we'll let the LLM decide what the subject is of the email.
Yeah. Do I need to create the hi at recoupable.com email address?
I'm not sure. That's a great question. I'm not sure. I
If we
will
want,
start
if we
to
want the
plug
agent
in.
to have access to a Gmail,
Right. Like,
then
is that important that the agent has a Gmail? Because it's going to get notified via SNS. And so having like a front end makes sense for a new a human team member. But for an AI, just giving it SNS might be enough. Unless you want to visualize it inside of a Gmail and be able to see the inbound and outbound, which might be good for your tracking. Or we might decide any email should be reported into our Telegram. That way we're seeing it in Telegram, and we centralize those notifications in a place where we're already getting them and tracking them instead of spreading your attention to another interface.
Yeah, let's simplify.
On my side, I'm clear. What did Sid learn? What did Sid learn from Rostrum? How did our Q2 goals measure week over week, and what are weekly goals? We have roughly 9 minutes in our scheduled time. Well, in the clock on our scheduled time, we have about 4. Throwing it to you for however you want to fill the rest of the time that we have together.
Oh, I want to hear about Wave 0, and Sweets doesn't send me long architecture tweets or messages on Slack at 12 o'clock at night unless he's excited. So I was like, oh, okay, let's fucking go. This is what I need. Talk to me. What's the vision, man? I'm so excited. And I also like, yeah, just talk to me. What are you thinking?
For years, musicians have been in my DMs asking me, I've got this brilliant idea for this app. Will you build it for me? And when I was early on in my career, I said yes to everybody, and I would build whatever their idea was, whether I thought it was good or bad. And now, as I don't have time, I say no to everybody. And so that energy is just lost. I started to try to tell people download Cursor and do vibe coding. That was not super helpful for most musicians. Recently, I've been using V0, and I've been finding musicians can get way further with V0 than they could without it. And so V0 feels like the future of musicians hosting their own websites. It used to be WordPress. It used to be Bonfire. There's Big Cartel where my sister works. There's all these companies that are website builders. What you see is what you get, yada, yada, non-technical people being able to build. But where V0 falls short is when I get on a call with Nana, and Nana says, include icons for all my social accounts. It F's up all the icons. It doesn't know how to do good TikTok icons or Instagram icons. You have to know to provide it the library for icons that you want. It doesn't know what Nana's posting. It doesn't know what type of music she does. It doesn't know what her profile picture is. It doesn't know how many streams she has on Spotify. And so it's going to ask her to manually fill in those details of all of her profiles. And it's not built on that tech. And also, it's built into their billing system. And so if I ever tell a musician, go in and do it, I don't have a lot of control over what the experience is like in V0. That's not something that we own. And so as of 2 days ago, V0 opened it up as an API, and now they have an LLM model. And so now we can build our own experience on top. And I see us having the opportunity to build the tool that every musician needs, whatever they're trying to do. You want a Linktree? Don't go to Linktree. Build your own version of Linktree. Host it yourself. Skip the paying Linktree fees. Customize it to whatever you want. Put it on whatever domain you want. Don't worry about Linktree domain. Don't worry about Recoup domain. It is your version of Linktree, custom built for you with your priorities. Excellencia wants to build a chat within his own application. We don't have to build anything inside of Recoup. We tell him to go over to Wave 0. It knows who Excellencia is. It knows what he's posting. It knows what his latest albums are. It can create that application for him. And it's a general tool that we can use internally and they can use externally for any use case that we have. It feels like the natural evolution of what right now we are manually defining every tool we want to build. And we're manually defining what those visual outputs are going to look like, which is great. We are in a great place of doing that, and we're getting fast at iterating with it. I think the next step to really unlock the gates is people can build, I don't want to call it apps. I don't know if it's experience apps or ideas, like whatever visualization they want. If it's as simple as a link tree, or if it's as simple as visualizing the monetization data that they have on YouTube in whatever way that they want to say. If Steph jumps into Wave Zero and says, we build the monetization tool from YouTube, we build however that shows up inside of Recoup. But if she jumped over to Wave Zero and said the same query, what is my monetization data on this artist? We give the initial, and then she says, no, don't make it a line graph, make it a bar chart comparing it to these 3 other artists month over month. And now Steph gets to build whatever the output visual interface is that she wants. It gets deployed. She can link it to her friends, and she owns all that. But she has built up trust with us that we build it, we understand what she wants, we provide exactly what she wants, and we push all that freedom to her. We're not locking her in. But she builds up that trust that she gives us a prompt, we give her exactly what she wants, and she can't get that on ChatGPT. She can't get that on V0. She can't get that on Lovable or on Bolt, because none of them are building specifically for the musician use case. And so that trust that they build with us is not lock-in, but it is we perform well and we focus on the freedom. And I think both of those together will build us a niche that aligns us with the same success that V0 has. V0 is not forcing people to lock in. They're saying we consume any LLM. We also offer our own LLM, which you can pay us for, but you can use any LLM with our tools. You can deploy this onto whatever, just connect to GitHub repo. We have our own hosting framework that you can pay us for, but if you don't want it, just connect your GitHub. And I think that is just incredibly powerful. I have not paid Vercel for the past maybe 10 years I've been building on them. But today they released their LLM and they said, I can't use that API until I pay. And they finally got me to put in a credit card number. And so like they have found a way to finally get me to put in a credit card number. And that level of rapport building of, they haven't forced me to pay them for anything for the past 5 years. They've given me a ton of value. I build everything that I do on top of them. And so they built that. I built a love. Anywhere I go, I talk about Vercel and the products that they build in the team. After 5 years, I've finally put in my credit card number, and I will do it happily because I know that they just build the top tier tools. So TLDR, Wave Zero is the future of Bonfire, the future of how musicians build websites. If we're thinking of it skeuomorphically, of like a car is a horse on wheels. But what it really opens up is any idea a musician has in one prompt, you can visualize it on paper. You can host it on your domain. You can share it with your friends and monetize it for free. And that feels like something that no other tool has. And so tossing it to you, in my mind, this feels novel and new. But when I've been sending it to you, you've been saying there's all these tools that already exist. So what am I missing? How am I think that this is novel and new. Can you remind me of where does this already exist and how is this not novel and new? What other tools already exist where musicians could already do this? And like, this is not actually that novel of an opportunity.
Well, so the key that you just said, the biggest key is that
it doesn't know.
It doesn't know. Every competitor, they don't know. And this is for any general client, AI client, ChatGPT. It starts to know as you use it. It knows your memories, but like it doesn't truly know unless you prompt it correctly. V0, Lovable, Manus, Bolt, they all are general. Come here, write your prompt, do your website. And you have to really work to get it to, if you already have a world built, to get it to match your world. So I think the value prop comes back to who are we building for and how are we making it easy for the LLM to know them as good as they know themselves. They know their tone of voice, they know their brand, they know their songs, they know why, they know who they stand, everything. Just like it's their brand identity, everything. The more that we contain that and know, the easier the easier it is for one-shot prompts to work. Because when you say, like you said, make me a link tree, all right, it's pulling the fonts, the brand aesthetic, the vibe. It knows all the context of this artist, who she is, what she's done, where she's going, all of that. The more context we can deliver, so it's way more likely to give her a result that is within her world. And I think that's the key that unlock. And I think that's the same key unlock with Recoup right now. And what we're trying to do is, how do we make it easy for people to use these LLM? The biggest issue that I find when people are using this stuff is, one, they type in a prompt, they don't get what they want, so they give up because they're not willing to work with it. And two, it's like, oh, but it just, so many people like will use it and be like, oh, but I already tried that. Like, because like it'll give a general suggestion. Oh, do short form content. Oh, we already do that. Like, so like they shrug it off as like, oh, this thing's dumb. It doesn't know what I've already done. It doesn't know who I am and why I'm doing it. And so like the more context that we can deliver about like the state of the user, the smarter the chat gets, the smarter the artifacts get, the more one shot everything becomes.
Right.
And I agree. Then also going backwards to clients of like removing the interface entirely and just saying, if I could text, if I could text the agent or my agent Recoup and be like, yo, I have a release coming up. I want to like target this fans. Can you please go and do that? Like, and just let it fucking go and do it. Like, it first needs to know who the artist is, who the user is, and as much context. And then we need to be able to deliver the LLM the context required to achieve the one-shot prompt as best as possible. So I'm 1,000% for it. My questions are, why a separate website and not just within Recoup? Is it just because like the architecture built currently requires like we would need to do a lot of changing to, and it's just easier to build a prototype outside of it?
I have a lot of questions about how we want to integrate it into the Recoup app, and rather than taking the time to have those conversations, I am able to build it. This is one of the reasons I wanted to build a starter app, and now that we have a starter app, this is exactly why I wanted. Is I'm able to go from, I have an idea, I wake up in the morning and I build that idea, and then I show it to Sid in less than 24 hours of iteration, rather than us having the conversation, planning it out, designing it out, actually implementing it. 3 days have passed and no code's been written. I did it for speed of implementation. Right now I'm doing it for speed of implementation so that I can get this in a space where you can use it. And then you can ask that question of, why isn't it in here? Great. Now I've got you on my side. I've got you on my team. You like the idea because you're able to see it. On my side, I've been able to build it faster. And now we can have that conversation of how to integrate it in. Cause like on my side, when do we use, all of our chat uses Anthropic right now. So how do we determine when to use Anthropic versus when to use V0 as the LLM model? Do we use it as a tool call? Do people have to specifically say like, build me an app or build me an experience? Or is it a tool? Or is the logic somewhere behind the scenes? Is it an operator that determines whether we need to use V0 and build an app versus there's a general chat and we're going to use Anthropic? Building it in, I think there's going to be some nuance there. And so building it in a standalone repo is allowing me to run a little bit faster.
I love it. So
is that okay?
Yeah, 1,000%. Run, the faster we can go, the better. The better we 1,000%. Keep the momentum. Build. But I agree. Like, bro, it comes back to like the whole idea is, I just love the concept of, being able to go to your agent, however, you talk to it, you email it, whatever the fuck, and you say, I have a release coming up. Please help me blow it up. And then press enter or send it. And then the agent should be able to know who the artist is, who the fans are, who the segments are, what the song is, boom, boom, boom. We can go make a game and go email all of these fans. We can go make a cat music video and go email these fans and put it on. We can go do like, let the agent go do everything around a release to help the artist get in front of and retain fans. And I love the idea of, okay, cool. It's like this modular app that like allows them to, it doesn't need, they might not want a a link tree. They might want their own website. They might want a game. They might want, yeah. So like having the agent have the ability to take form in what it needs to take form to hit the right fans, to do the right things. And then, yeah, that is the, I keep going back to the mission of helping musicians do more of what they love and then let the agent handle the rest. And so this feels like it's a very, very perfect next step towards that.
You talked about it knowing the context. What is the value in your mind of it generating and deploying code and hosting it on a domain that is owned by the artist and configurable by the artist?
100% valuable. Manus, I use not religiously, maybe once, or I use it when I'm trying to compare VO, Manus, and Bolt's dashboards. But and Lovable. What I don't like about Manus is I can't deploy to my own domain, so it just like lives in theirs. Which like I haven't hit a prompt, or I haven't done a project or prompt where I've been like, where that's been a blocker yet, because nothing has been good enough to deploy to main, like, or to be like, oh man, this, I want this as my own, like, you know. But it's going to get there eventually, and so that's going to become important eventually. When it's a game and it's fucking incredible, the artist is going to want it to be on their own shit, 1,000%.
I think that was part of Rostrum friction as well. Like us saying, anytime you use Recoup, it can go on your own domain. I think for teams like Rostrum as well, knowing, okay, we own this. When we build with you guys, it deploys code. It's in our own GitHub repo. We can configure the domain. Like, wow. Let's try it out, build something with them, host it on our own site, and then if they get bought by Sony, who cares?
Exactly. And thinking through, like, yeah, from more of like an infrastructure layer of like, if they go in and build an agent, then yeah, they own it, and they can, it's in there. Yeah. And just thinking through, like, yeah, does it get hosted on GitHub? Does it get hosted on Vercel? Or what is it? Yeah.
And the thing is, every app that gets built is going to be built on top of Recoup APIs. And so for me, this is dog fooding the APIs. If you're building an app, it knows you because it's using Recoup's APIs. And so going back to X402 and billing, getting our billing in at the API level then transcends into every app. Even though we don't own the apps, they're on GitHub, Rostrum's hosting it on their own GitHub and their own Vercel. Unless they replace the underlying APIs, which is going to be them going into the code and manually doing that work, or knowing how to prompt Wave 0 correctly. It's not lock-in, but it is preferences that makes it easier for you, in the same way that Vercel makes it easy for you to deploy on Vercel. But the other aspect, the last one, code generation, why is that important in your mind? We've talked about having the context, why the context is important, why hosting it on your own domain is important, why is the code generation important? If we could be writing out top tier UIs and defining that in Figma, why would we want code generation? Why is that important?
Wait, say the alternative.
For musicians, in all the experiences that we build, we define the outputs with UI components right now. The outputs are text, images, TXT files, UI components that we have defined. Why is code generation novel for a musician who has likely never looked at code, and anytime they felt fear?
I'm confused at what you mean by code generation, like on the front end, you're saying?
Wave 0 is writing code.
It's writing code, yeah.
So that's something that we don't have, and something that's included. If the question doesn't make sense, we don't have to focus on it. For me, this is an important thing to focus on, but if it's not making sense to you, we can
no, but I want to understand.
Why is code generation novel and important for Recoup? We don't have that right now. So why is this something worth doing? Why is this something novel that's going to impact musicians in a way that helps them achieve their goals.
Well, I think it just goes back to ownership. Like that's my, like owning the code generation, like and putting it in a place that they own, and being able to deploy. Because like anybody can go on Recoup right now and generate code as text and then copy and paste it into an IDE and then use it. Like, but it's the sandbox. It's sandboxing the code so that they can see what's being built and they can. They can interact with the code in a way that makes sense for them. That's not scary anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what V0 does, right? Is it makes it easy for anybody who doesn't code, and all of these apps like make it easier for people who don't code to like get results, even if they don't actually read the code that they're seeing. But the code still has to be there. It still has to exist somewhere. Does that make sense?
Anything else before we wrap?
No, I'm excited. I like this idea.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure if you haven't already, give this a like, give it a repost, give us a subscribe. That way you don't miss out on everything that we're continuing to build. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next.